ordinance, you wanted to have, we had some additional questions, and mainly had to do with some comments or refer to RCI. Brian Black with RCI is here if you'd like to, ask him some additional questions on what's been presented here.
Questions?
Come on up. And this section's on the approval of the second reading of the ordinance, section 6.1, has to do with the fee schedule.
Right. What is this right here?
If you would, turn to page 5 of that document. This is Title 6 of the state law that talks about building codes, building inspectors, and so on. Section 6-9-30, where it basically says the building official may prescribe the fees for construction permits and inspections.
Where's that at? Page 5, there's several highlighted marks.
Section 6-9-30, it's in the first one.
A.
Yes, A, correct.
So there hasn't been any alterations to what we saw last month?
No.
On the fee schedule?
No. Now, we had, the reason I even suggested all this is we've had a year to basically look at Packet and determine its needs. And we brought it before you guys, just to make you aware, by state law, technically we can prescribe fees that are reasonable.
When you say prescribe, what context do you mean?
Webster Dictionary.
Prescribe as in, are you telling the town what fees to charge, or are you telling the individual that you're writing the permit for what fee they're going to be paying?
We use a standard that we measure a town with to determine the needs. This particular town, as I discussed, I think 2 months ago, we only do like one inspection at a time. And normally in a week we do 2. So to explain that, we actually lose money by doing this now when we have a re-inspection of $100. Because there is no certified inspectors in this town. You've got to ship one from another town. The only reason it works is because I'm from here, live here, and I will drive the 7 miles to wherever from Cherokee County over here to take care of it, because it is my hometown. That is the only way this works.
So my question was, when it says prescribe fees and construction permits and inspections, the term prescribe, how do you interpret that?
Create a fee schedule that works, cover the fees associated with providing inspections, plan reviews, phone calls, records, etc. Insurance, errors and omissions, workers' comp, general liability, the whole 9 yards.
For your business?
Yes. In which this town gets 20% of.
So for a fee of $100, you're saying you get 80 and the town get 20.
That's right. I do the work and get 80%, and you guys get the 20. But technically, y'all do have a job, because Miss Tony actually issues the permit.
So the one fee on here that I've mentioned before that really bothers me, and if I could get this altered slightly, I wouldn't have a problem with your fees. This first fee, construction costs 0 to 5,000 is $100 permit fee. So, I know like it seems like a small amount, but in principle, if there was a $50 construction cost, they'd be charged 100 in fees. I would love, and this wouldn't change anything for you because this would not be additional work. If it was $250 to 5,000, $500 to 5,000, then
Yeah, I get it.
that would be more
Absolutely,
I could
and
stomach that.
I have suggested that, I think it should be $1,000 minimum that does not require a permit, because you cannot hardly do anything
Right, yeah, you
today
can't.
for $1,000.
I agree.
Yeah, so far as I'm concerned, anything under $1,000, matter of fact, Don is here tonight, Don Jones,
I have no problem with any of these fees other than that one, and if we could make that alteration.
he reported the job today, they're putting in 2 windows, I said, keep going, we're not looking for that, and honestly, if they hire a contractor, that's probably $1,200, windows, labor and everything, but they,
Right.
you know, to me, we gotta use common sense out here, and that's what we do.
Yeah, the last thing we wanna do is make you unable to do the job we're asking you to do and without making money. We don't,
Right.
or at least I don't want that. But this small change, I think, would make a big difference that wouldn't affect you at all.
Right, it would not. What I would like to change to try to accommodate that, leave it 0 to 5,000, and let's just make a blanket statement that flat says, permit is not required if the total cost of construction is $1,000 or less. And unless an inspection is required, because you do get in some situations where somebody needs power, Duke Power will not hook you up with Lockhart, Broad River, whoever the application is. They will not hook you up sometimes if you've
Right.
been disconnected, I think, 6 months or more.
Right.
In other words, if we don't need to make a trip, it works.
That was the $0 to $5,000, right?
Yeah,
That's your preference?
yeah. we
So,
can add
so
that.
50,000 to 100,000. Let's go over that real quick. So on your schedule, if you do the math, at $99,000, it's $1,212 for a permit.
I don't know if I got the schedule with me.
It's in there. It's-
Well, I've got something different.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay, Jason, you was telling me from which number?
$50,000 to $100,000.
Okay.
$465 for the first 50,000 and $7 for each additional 1,000 after that. That equates at $99,000, that's $1,212. Give or takes a few pennies, of course. The same $99,000 with Spartanburg County would be $474.
I believe that. It'd be $32 in Union City.
My concern is
Well, I.
raising the fee schedule to accommodate a contractor of ours so that the citizens of the town have to pay more for permits so that we can accommodate the contractor.
Tell me your math again. It's not adding up for me.
$465, 49 times 7.
Okay.
Both of those together is $1,212.
Times 49, 3. All right, I got 7 times 49 equals 343. Plus 465 is $808.
And then the plan review is always included in that, so then that's 50% cost.
Yeah, there is a plan.
Right. A $100,000 job, $99,000 job is gonna be a plan, I'm sure, right? So then it's a 50% fee to review the plan for that.
If there's a plan. Yeah, I can tell you what they do in these other places, and I would like to, for y'all to know how it really works, and you don't want to be the cheapest, obviously. You can actually build an addition in the city of Union, and it'll be $15. And you have to wonder, how do they pay the inspector. Well, the contractor don't pay, and the person that actually is building the job don't pay. The people of the community pay through their taxes. And I'm not sure how the people of Packet would feel about the taxpayers footing the bill for the new O'Reillys or the new cell tower the Duke's building down on West Main Street. That's what's happening in these towns that have extremely low fees. To me, the fee should support the industry. It should do what it's designed to do, to cover the inspections, cover the plan review. I don't think the taxpayer should be taxed with having to pay for whomever's building an addition or a new home all over town.
So, what exactly do you mean? So the taxpayers would be taxed additionally?
That's how it works in other towns.
If Spartanburg County was doing our building inspections, then they would pay a higher tax?
No, they charge such a small amount, it doesn't cover the building department. The only way that works in that community is volume, 844 square miles.
Which community is this?
This is Pack, are you talking about?
The one that you're talking about?
Oh, that's Spartanburg.
Okay.
844 square miles, that's, 2 months ago I explained this section, I didn't think it was a good idea to compare ourselves to Spartanburg County.
Right, 2 months ago, you explained to Ms. Sexton also that you had to charge these rates because you're a smaller company, you don't have as much, business. So to be able to function, you have to charge these rates so that you can still make money doing it. You said that at the council meeting 2
No,
months
sir,
ago.
I don't think so.
I think we're comparing apples to oranges here. The benefit of RCI is the level of service far above Spartanburg County.
It's
Spartanburg
It's-
County is cheaper,
it's
but you're
twice
waiting,
the cost for the citizens of this town. It's twice the
you're
cost.
waiting much longer for inspections, and inspections are subpar.
Spartanburg County's inspections are subpar.
Oh, yeah.
Very much.
It's a
Compared
bold
to-
statement from a council member.
Why is
That's a
that?
bold statement.
That's just a fact,
It is
because
a
I've
fact.
used them, and I worked in home inspections. RCI is gonna be much more thorough, and he's gonna act quickly. So there should be a monetary consideration there.
I took the liberty of looking at CC&I also. CC&I has a system of their own, and we had a quote from them last year, and their quote was $75 an hour, whereas RCI was $50 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. And CC&I has their own system, so the permits are on their system. You can research them anytime, and they actually use Spartanburg County's fee schedule. No change, it'd be Spartanburg County's fee schedule exactly the way that it is on there. And then that's a separate company, so they have their own employees that would do the inspections as well. But using a half the cost fee schedule.
Did you see the research I provided you? Actually, Patrick emailed every one of you guys to show that they're charging for.
Was it this?
I don't know. That's what I just gave you, I think.
Yeah.
That's all state
I
law.
haven't had
That's
time to
what
review
Nick's-
any of that.
Y'all need that in a minute, just hang on to that. I provided y'all research showing the comparison, it was within $100, and they were being abusive to contractors to the tune of $1,100 for inspection.
The email that told us to review the simple math?
Yes,
Is that the one that you're
would
talking
be the
about?
one.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So that's your comparison, even though it says half, it don't add up, the math is not there when you charge for 4 permits. We simplified Hackett's layout and formatted it where only one person could come in and pull the permit for the entire house instead of making all the contractors come in and pull separate individual permits, which that is how CC&I makes money.
I think it depends on the inspector and who's actually doing it. I'm not here to talk about CC&I. Mainly, we talked about last council meeting that, Mr. K actually told us that it was a simple signing of a contract to just revert back to Spartanburg County. Is that what you said?
Yes, if that's what you wanted to do. There are some drawbacks from that sort of thing, though.
What drawbacks would that be?
The drawbacks would be that, one, we've had a permit requests come in and in less than 20 minutes have had it approved. You would not have that with Spartanburg County. The other thing has happened is you have a little bit more control in terms of how development is done here. RCI is a lot more thorough, and so you wouldn't see some subpar, kind of developments that are happening. And then also, of course, you would be able to get the revenue that's coming in as well.
I wanna say that I'm not comfortable with talking about Spartanburg County services as subpar. I'm just not comfortable saying that, and I would hope that you wouldn't say things like that. I just don't think it's ethical to name out something, so another
I think it's perfectly
office
accurate.
like that. What I will ask is in the beginning, we had a lot of problems getting permits. There was, Ms. Sexton had an issue with getting permits. Somebody in her district had a problem. They were just trying to get an outdoor building, like a building, brought in.
We've had approximately 2 issues with that, and it's been resolved. That's taken care of.
Was this the one, this was her father's project?
Correct.
My concern is what I'm holding to is I don't think that we should raise our permit fees to the citizens of this town. It's already enough for the cost of building these days, and then adding, extra fees to it. I mean, just the math that I did, I'm in building 2. So, I mean, I know what these numbers mean. I know what it looks like to get a plan review. I know what all that means, and to me, this is doubling everything up. And if we're just looking at the $0 to $5,000, that's all we're looking at, then yeah, that's all we're looking at. But major construction is what I'm looking at. We're looking at, $100,000 and plus. Somebody's building a house. You're not building a house for $5,000. You're not renovating a house for $5,000. And the more you go up, the more it still doubles. So, once we get near, a $250,000 house, it's up there. I mean, and approving this would double those costs. And that's quite a bit of money.
Double what cost?
The permit fees. What I don't wanna do is, I don't wanna raise permit fees and nobody wants to build a house in Packlet anymore. Not that, $3,000 or $4,000 on a permit fee is gonna change all that, but I mean, that makes a difference. That's $3,000 or $4,000 they could be adding or taking off the cost of the structure, or, to me, I just don't think it's a great idea to raise the permit fees.
Are they paying the fees for those new houses on Fuller?
Yes,
Shannon and the other guy that I mentioned, Bill Wampler, he's the one that volunteered to speak to you guys to help you compare and realize from a contractor standpoint of our fees, our service against, the competition against Spartanburg County, whoever you want to, compare us to. And he's very pleased with working here. As a matter of fact, he's supposed to be meeting with me and Patrick coming back to propose more development. Not to be Bill Walker, I provided his name and phone number in that email. Another thing, Jason, talking about the fees getting high, people not building, I actually did a quick, Google, if you will, study of demographics of some surrounding counties, and, I chose, the city of Union. Their, rental population is 51%, and 49% of owner occupied. Packlet is 70-something%, owner occupied. And again, they have statistically, $15 permits. So that doesn't equal a good situation. That equals a rental situation with nobody looking at the homes and the quality of the homes going down and becoming more of a rental community versus an owner occupied community, which you sure everybody knows the direction that can go in certain areas, but nonetheless, Packet right now is 70% owner occupied.
Let me make sure I understand you correctly. The equation of the permit fee schedule dictates the percentage of rental properties?
No, sir. The quality of the inspection
The
will.
quality of the inspection would
Yeah.
dictate the percentage of rental properties.
Well, it's gonna uphold a different caliber of rental property. If you start looking at full demographics, you've gotta go, full bore and look at everything from income. to
Union
education.
versus Spartanburg County. Union County
No,
versus Spartanburg County?
City of Union versus.
City of Union,
County.
Spartanburg County, or Union County, yeah.
Yeah, just look at the demographics and see there's some minute differences that, in my opinion, Packett's doing pretty good. Not to say they're not, I'm just saying, I think Packett's in pretty good, condition, and getting better.
So a higher fee schedule would reduce the possibility of more rental houses in Packet.
No, sir, we're not, didn't make that statement.
I'm trying to figure out what exactly did you mean by the demographics of rental versus fee schedules?
Well, the lack of a quality inspection will eventually lead to a home that an owner's not gonna occupy, and they will abandon to a rental house. Would might be a way to look at it.
Has Packlet ever had an building inspection company, or we've always used Spartanburg?
No, we used Ken Bailey years ago. He was with the City of Union,
For how many years?
maybe 8, 10.
8 years. Did we have a fee schedule back then? Was it a different fee schedule than what we have now, or did they just use Spartanburg County?
I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember.
What fee schedule are you currently using to charge your permit fees?
The previous one, I haven't actually evolved to this one yet.
The previous one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one that that has been approved, or
It's the one I prescribed.
you prescribed it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the
By state
law that you're referring to, the building official or appointing authority may appoint and employ other personnel and assists necessary to perform the required inspection and duties and may prescribe fees for construction permits and inspections. Okay. So your interpretation of that means that you get to prescribe to the town what fees we're going to charge?
Within
Or
reason.
does that mean prescribe the fees to the person asking for the permit?
Both, if I need to.
Both if you need to.
I'll give you an example of that. We actually, did a job for Enchanted, passed the plumbing, passed the, foundation. I was back in the area, and they had actually moved the home back 5 feet, demoed all the slab, forms, everything. And so I called them, I said, hey, can y'all fill me in? And they said, yeah, we decided to move it back, we want to drop the driveway, we regraded it, whatever. I said, okay, I'll drop by town hall and pay for your reinspection fee. Now we have 2 more times I gotta come out, because I've already came out. So again, there's an example of what prescribed means. They required me to come out and do 2 more inspections that I'd already done. They didn't fail the inspection, but they created 2 more. So that would be prescribing fees as an example.
Prescribing to the permittee what permits or fees that they're going to have to pay based on your inspections. But you're also saying that you can prescribe to this council what fee schedule that you want.
If there is no fee schedule, we've gotta do something.
Correct.
So we did.
We would need to approve that since it's involving our citizens' money, right? Or are you saying that we don't have to approve this is what you're going to use?
I mean, you may wanna probably talk to your legal counsel about that. I actually sent it to him 2 or 3 weeks ago, he didn't respond.
like to make a motion that we amend this first fee from 1,000 to 5,000. I think the wording's just simpler to do that.
Okay.
Get this moving.
I'd like to make a motion that we deny this permit fee
Wait
schedule.
a minute, let's take the first motion first now.
Okay,
Before we get all in the motion, you.
we're gonna amend the fee schedule, the first line, 0 to 1,000.
Yeah. Okay,
I second that motion.
motion made and second, amending it, 1,000 to 5,000. Okay, any questions on that? All in favor? Okay,
I make a motion, we don't approve this, strike it down. I don't feel like this is a good idea to raise the fee schedule for the citizens of this town.
need a second. Hearing none, we'll move along then.
Make a motion that we approve the fee schedule in second reading.
Motion made, approve the
Second.
second reading. All right. Any questions? All in favor?
I got a little bit of discussion.
Okay.
I would still like the attorney to verify that what he said was correct, that he prescribes the town the fee schedule that he wants, that we're supposed to do that. I would like to know from the attorney.
Okay. All right. Okay,
Was there a final vote on that?
okay, all right. All in favor? We did that. Opposed? Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Consider an ordinance, for the establishment of a historical and architectural review board. You all had that information in your package? You have any questions on it?
I'd like to go through the state code that was referenced, I think, 3 times in this. Councilman Wright has mentioned on multiple occasions this is strictly advisory. That this board would be formed just to provide information, but that's inconsistent with everything we have here, including the ordinance that Councilman Wright wrote. I assume you wrote this. It mentions code, SC Code Title 6, Chapter 29. Yeah, 4 times. So I'm assuming that's what we're basing it off of. Title 6, Chapter 29 is much like, provides for a board much like the BZA, the Board of Zoning Appeals. It's more of a courtroom almost. It can, just for example, it can subpoena witnesses. It can hold citizens in contempt, and it can hand down orders which can be appealed to a circuit court, can go to mediation, and could even be appealed to the Supreme Court. So this is not an advisory board, it's not for information. If we wanted to provide information on historic structures to the citizens, we could put a link on our website. The guidelines are guidelines, as you mentioned, Mr. Wright. However, the board has the power to apply or enforce those guidelines. I just want it to be clear that we will be creating a board with the power to tell people how they can modify their homes, whether they can modify their homes, whether they can do renovations, how they're going to do those renovations. To call it an advisory board is deceptive at best.
You didn't call him out. Don't be calling him out, I mean,
Okay. I mean, so in the past, we've had council members that have expressed, that ordinance should not be passed until comp plan is completed, and I'm concerned that there's a double standard here, cause this is a pretty significant ordinance, though it does not call itself an ordinance, which has also been an issue in the past as far as semantics. It's not called an ordinance in the agenda or in text. There's a lot of inconsistencies here.
You finished?
Not quite. For example, in this ordinance, it mentions that no employee should serve on the board. However, then it says that the board is to appoint a secretary who should be an employee. So there's a lot of areas that need some explanation or clarification. But really, the most important thing is that this is not an advisory or informational board. This will have legal binding power. And it does not necessarily affect, I believe this is specific just to the Mill Hill. It doesn't really affect my constituents, however, I'm concerned for the District 1 constituents who will be affected by this. I would hate to create a hardship, regardless of whether they're in District 4 or not. I've highlighted a few sections of South Carolina law. It's more of the same. It mentions the ability to issue restraining orders, to grant basically powers to stop construction or modification. I mean, it goes on and on. I've got 4 pages here that show it has nothing to do with advisory. At some point, it calls a violation of the board, a ruling of the board, a misdemeanor.
Is that it?
That's it for now. Sure.
So specifically, it's section 6-29-880 of state law, which deals specifically with the Historic and Architectural Review Board. This is something that constituents of mine asked me to put back in place because they were concerned about the buildings being built without, abiding by the historic architectures that's already in this district. On Stone Street, there's 2 houses being built that are small, they don't match. That was the main concern. Constituents of mine reached out to me and said, hey, what can we do? What about this review board? The review board, the law says the Board of Architectural Review has powers involving structures, neighborhoods, as determined by zoning ordinance. More specifically, the attorney told me that the powers of the board are defined by the ordinance that council passes to create the board. Which means we have to have an ordinance for this. The ordinance for this is something that the council would have the opportunity to review the statutory construction of it. And if we build the ordinance that removes any powers and it's strictly guidelines, our current zoning ordinances refer to Historic Architectural Review Board. And already we have bypassed that and houses have been built because we just simply didn't have it. and our zoning administrator just approved them because we didn't have the historic architectural review board in place. So technically, we're already breaking our own ordinances by not having it. The ordinance says that we should have it. All I'm saying is that we should establish a board and then review the ordinance and give the review board its guidelines with the ordinance that we already have. Change the language of the ordinance and establish the board so that when this does happen in the future, then we have the situations in place that we already have ordinances that cover. That way, next time, when this happens, we don't just approve it without even talking to council, we just ask the review board to convene, have them look at the zoning ordinances and then make a determination with the guidance of whatever we said. Whatever we decide to put in the ordinance, then that's what we would do.
What if they don't agree with it? The homeowner doesn't agree with what our, people say, I mean, what happens then?
The historic board is there for guidance at that point. It's really just there for guidance. Our ordinances currently say that you must go to the Historic and Architectural Review Board before you do something. Am I correct, Patrick?
It says it in there, but you don't have a board.
But what it says is that it must be reviewed through the board first, right?
And have not been following that for years.
I understand that, that's fine. What I'm saying is that the ordinance currently says that there should be a board and that it should be reviewed through that board first.
Let me verify.
We need to, if that's the case, and I'm not totally against the board, especially for new construction, it's the people that have lived on the Mill Hill for years, not having control of their existing homes. Now, if you really want a board for advisory, we need to take out Title 6, Chapter 28, the 4 places it refers to it in here, especially Section 3, where it does not mention a subtitle, 870. It just mentions all of Chapter 29, which gives it vast powers. They can enforce it. You can be fined. You can be held in contempt.
So can all that language just not be removed
Absolutely.
and then
We need
just,
to remove that, and we need to add that it's for advisory and informational purposes only, if that is your intent. I don't know who would sit on such a board, because we're gonna have to have people with training just to show up to say, yeah, your porch should look like this, and then they're gonna go build whatever they want, because it's only advisory. I don't know who would meet every month for that. It seems like a waste of time. I'm huge on historic preservation. I'm also very big on limited government and not having control of people's homes. I think Packlet can get there, but we're not there yet. I don't think the property values are in a place where we can be telling people what kind of siding to put on their homes.
I don't think Packlet's ever told anybody what siding they can or can't put on their homes.
But they would be able to do that with this.
Are you requesting to take out, Chapter 29 and all that, 6, whatever?
Any reference to SC Code Title 6, Chapter 29, and if we could add a clause saying this is for advisory and information purposes only, which are,
but then it holds no teeth.
Well,
Does
which
that make
is-
well,
sense?
yeah, I don't
It's-
want it to hold teeth.
Number one, this is more for providing people with the opportunity to get grants, things like that. So, if the homeowner is concerned with maintaining the historic attributes of their house and getting grants, things like that, then it helps to have a review board, historic review board, and then that review board would also help them get grants, things like that. It's basically just having the advice matters.
And then I have no problem with
once you lose a certain percentage of historic homes on the registry, then the area itself is no longer on the historic registry at all.
So doing it is kind of mute. I mean,
That is a concern. I would hate to see that happen. We have to find a middle ground. This
Yeah.
could be a good first step for having strictly advisory, getting the guidelines out there, making them publicly available. Guidelines as in, if you want your house to look the way it used to look, this is what they did. That's great. We should encourage that, promote that. I don't want people coming into, before a board and asking if they're allowed to put a certain door or a certain type of fence in their house. Not at this point. I think we have to do a lot of work on the Mill Hill before we get to that point, like a lot of work.
and it's gonna have to start somewhere, because if you don't, and people continue to do whatever they want to their home, they're gonna lose
Right.
the historical standing. So,
Right, I mean, it's been here for 120 years, it's not gonna disappear tomorrow, but it is a concern. I've had these homes here for a century, so a lot of them. If we wanted to do a board that reviewed just new construction, that would be a good idea.
There's so many houses now that are out of the, the historical, look now, than what they were. I mean, I would say they would, maybe 5% of them at the most would be,
Right.
historical.
I mean, they're historical homes that could be brought back. The thing is, we have to build the Mill Hill back to such a desirable place that people come for those homes, that they don't want to build a modern house. They are moving into the neighborhood because of the charm of it. We have to create that desire. I don't think we need to enforce it by law. I'm a small government guy.
Yeah, I understand that. How would you just as a
Well,
advisory?
we just took a huge step, in my opinion, with the development of the cloth room and plans, our comp plan and our focus on the river. This is gonna become an extremely desirable neighborhood. And we're gonna have people willing to pay big money to move in here. I know that seems hard to believe, but it's going to go in that direction. And those are the types of people that are willing to spend the extra money,
It's already going in that direction.
right, to do it that way.
I get what you're saying, but I also get what you're saying, because the residents, if we could make it to where they can get the money to help them fix up their homes, that would be great.
Well, the grants are separate. I mean, we could do that without a review board. Anyone can, pursue grants. And if you wanna establish a board dedicated just to that, I think that'd be great, but no. It's the part where if you don't do what we want, we fine you and we rule against you.
Patrick, you had a question?
I do, and I'm just kind of, point of clarification for Mr. Wright. I've worked in 5 states with state historic preservation offices. I am unfamiliar with any type of grants that are available for private property owners for their private homes. There's plenty of stuff out there for, significant homes of value or for commercial structures that are out there. But, it would be news to me, and I have never heard of any state or federal organization providing grants for private property owners just for their homes, unless there's significant value to that particular grant. The other question I had on there, because I'm unfamiliar with this as well, I have never heard that if you do certain types of construction onto your property, that you automatically be taken off of the registry. I've never heard of that before.
No, they evaluate the structure periodically.
When do they do this? Because if you can get some wording on this, I think.
That I don't know the timing of when they evaluate the structures. I don't know when they come through.
But you're positive that they do evaluate these on a routine basis?
I don't know either. I just know that they've came through and they've evaluated. I think it was requested. when these houses were placed on the registry, I think it was requested that they came in and.
But since then, they have not come back, since they first originally put it on the,
No,
Well, I think I think we can do some work on this and, reword it some ways and, you willing to, look at taking chapter 29, Title 6?
I don't have a problem with amending any of this.
Yeah.
This is just, I'm trying to do what citizens in my district asked me to do, that's all.
Yeah.
I think nobody wants to be told what they can and can't do with their house, and I don't want that either. The language in this, I didn't feel as if it was dictating what they could and couldn't do. I think that some of the stuff's in this ordinance is a little bit too much. It says 2 architects, if the architect isn't available, historian, there's different things. All I'm asking is that we review it and we can come to some conclusion that we can have a review board that has limited powers, if any powers whatsoever. I'm just trying to get an architectural review board for advice and so that board can help the council and the citizens understand it's tax write-offs. Sorry, grant was probably the wrong word. I apologize for that. Tax incentives.
there's tax incentives for private property owners with properties that are not income producing?
Yes,
Can you provide that for me, please?
yes.
Okay.
I will send that to you.
I think a great first step.
Yeah, and I think so, and, Tony, when they did that, you were probably the only one around when they did that, with the lane having it done. Not hitting on you that bad there, definitely,
That's all right.
but,
To the Spanish time.
did they have a review board then? I know they had the architect, but I don't know if they had, I knew the architect, but
She did have a committee that did that.
They had a committee?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, Mark.
I think a great first step would just be focused on new construction. If you had some sort of board that had only the power to rule on new construction, so we can stop. That to me is not a big deal. Someone's coming in and spending $200,000, telling them to make slight adjustments is not as big a deal as someone that just wants to repair or fix something on their existing home. So if we want to steer the wording in that direction, I'd be all for it.
I can rewrite this. If there's portions of this that are untastely for any of you, let me know and I can amend them and change them. I think there's some changes that need to be made to it. That's why I brought it here and I've been bringing it here so that the council can review it and bounce off some ideas. Not to have a harsh conversation, but to just basically give me your idea of what you would like for it to look like. I'm just trying to help the citizens in my district. I don't know that there's any historic houses in the rest of the town. I know that there's a few, but specifically where in this district here, there's quite a few, and I don't want to tell anybody what they can and can't do because I don't think that's fair. But I would like to give them some options or at least some idea. The last time it happened, people had a big problem with it because it was almost like they were told what they could and couldn't do with their house. And that still is existing in our ordinances today. So we need to remedy that somehow.
Cause Tony, I remember in the early 2000s when Elaine was doing all of that when it came up to the historical sites, that it was saying that if they do repairs or updates on their home, they have to go back with the same type shingles, the same type windows, the same everything. So I remember that. So.
You're right. And that's not what I want. I don't think anybody else
More
wants that.
like advisory, if they want help figuring something out, maybe like an educational type thing.
The language is no powers,
Yeah, I think we can work around that and get something, definite that we can go with. And I think that's a good idea, just to, look at it and, bounce it off everybody. Okay, let's move on. Anything else on that? Okay, let's, go on to, consider the ordinance, for establishing that's what we just did, okay. Consider, updating the town code of conduct, to include social media.
I think this is something we should all embrace. It's a direct guide to our citizens on how to interact amongst council members and appointed members, and should resonate outward from us. Accepting code of conduct is it just makes sense. Shows the public that we hold ourselves to a higher standard as well.
I think it's a kind of a feel-good gesture. It's totally non-enforceable, even if it was to pass. There's sections, I don't have it in front of me, I meant to bring it, I thought we'd have a copy here, the proposed copy. There's wording in there that says, like, we're not to make negative comments, and that's like 50% of our job, is to unfortunately discuss things that are at times negative. We've seen that tonight. The biggest, and I've been one of the most publicly criticized council members on social media, and that's uncomfortable. However, that's politics. We need to be able, to criticize ideas and actions that deserve criticism. I will defend anyone's right to tell me I'm completely wrong, and even if I don't like it at the time, I put my hand on a Bible and swore an oath to defend the Constitution, and this would be a violation of the First Amendment, in my opinion. Sometimes negative things have to be said, and I think the Constitution's more important than anyone's feelings, unfortunately. And this is not to say that I wouldn't redouble, my efforts to stem my own interactions online, but I can't in good conscience, having sworn not just before this council but God, that I would defend the Constitution, and this is, in my opinion, a violation of the First Amendment. So I can't.
I disagree. My thing with the social media thing, we are, council members, and I don't like, if things are being said about us on social media, we do not have to engage. You understand what I'm saying? I'm never on social media. People can say what they want to say. I am not going to engage with citizens. They can say what they need to say about me. I'm fine with it. I was elected to come here and serve, and that's what I'm going to do for the town. I'm not going to get on social media with a lot of back and forth. I think it's unprofessional. A lot of times it's childish. We're all adults, and I think we need to learn to be able to take criticism and not respond to it. That's just my personal opinion on it. I don't have a problem with us having a code of conduct as far as social media. Even though it can't be enforced, I know that. There are no consequences if you do respond to social media. Am I wrong? Are there consequences?
I'm under the impression there are people out trying to move it in that direction, and I think there's step one where, if we don't like, I don't like the idea of speech control in any way. So I think we're moving that direction where, this appointed person or this employee or this elected person said something inconvenient that hurt my feelings, and I disagree, so we need to take action. I think we are moving in that direction.
But there's nothing in place to say that action can be taken.
If there is, I have not seen it.
So, just having a code of conduct for social media is just saying we agree to not present ourselves in a negative light on social media. Am I wrong? Is that basically what it's?
You're correct.
Yeah.
You're correct. It's just a statement of, you know, our personal conduct and the way that we perceive,
Yeah. And
the way that we're going to act in front of our citizens and help them understand
Yeah.
what civility really means.
Yeah, and I'm for that.
I'm for it too. The problem comes when who interprets. You know, if I say, I think you're totally wrong on that, and here's why, someone could interpret that as, oh, that was negative. That, you know, that offended me. Who interprets that? Is the problem. That's where you get in that slippery slope. And I think we should be professional, but I don't think we should be attempting to control speech in any way. I made an oath not to violate any of the Constitution. I believe that if it doesn't violate it, it may lead to violating it someday. It may be, it's really close.
I make a motion to approve adding social media to the Town of Bath Code of Conduct.
I second.
Okay, motion made and second to, add the social media to the code of conduct. Any other questions? Any other comments? All in favor? All opposed? That's it. All right. Consider second reading,
Mayor, did you vote?
I didn't vote. Consider second reading, an amendment to 2023-2024 town fact, annual budget.
At one of the last few meetings, this is actually a second reading on here, and the council was interested in adding a third person to the sanitation department. I believe it's gonna add another $45,000 onto the sanitation budget, and so I had to show where that money was gonna come from. And so in there, the $45,000 is gonna be coming out of the general fund. So I just increased the contingency amount that's on there. So that's where that's showing. So this is, you've already had one reading on here, this is the second reading to approve that budget amendment before we hire someone.
I would like to, in light of our presentation by Spartan Waste, table this till we get some more information. This is gonna put our sanitation budget to almost 210,000. Hiring, we're altering the budget specifically to hire someone just for sanitation, right?
Yes, so you currently have two people on sanitation, this will be adding a third person, to that crew.
So we know now that we can get the same job done for about what we're paying now. I would like to get some proposals or quotes to see if there's other, I don't know who we'd solicit, but other waste management companies, see if that's really an accurate number.
You have to do something similar to what Calpins just recently did, because they had a situation where, I believe it was Waste Management left, and they had to find somebody, so they had to quickly put out, either RFQ or RFPs to be able to find somebody.
I would love to see some RFPs. Is that something that, how long do you think it would take to solicit that and get good response back?
It's really all up how fast the council wants to go on this. I mean, it would be something, you'd send out a I mean, for something this significant, I wanna make sure that council has thoroughly read the RFP, RFQ, whichever direction that y'all wanna go on this. The ACOG works with us on there. We may look at what CalPENS has actually done. And y'all may, this is my suggestion, if you go this route, at least wait until the next fiscal year that you put it in place.
That's what I was gonna suggest, if we're gonna do anything, we need to just wait till the, next budget.
Yeah, there's no huge rush on it, it's just, we're gonna increase our budget over $40 million to try to get something done.
My question is, where did the idea of Spartan Waste come from? Because that to me seemed like it just came out of nowhere. The last discussion we had was about hiring just another person. Where did that thought even come from?
Yeah, they sponsored Riverfest, and I asked Patrick to see why they were so interested in Padlet.
So you asked them to come and present to us their willingness to do this?
So they have been, them and another company have been trying to court Packlet for a very long time.
Right.
And they would like to be here. And so Mr. Williams said, put them on the agenda. So I put them on the agenda.
So you asked them to do a presentation?
I didn't know if they were gonna do a presentation. I wanted information.
You asked them to come and,
I asked them to put it on the agenda to present something, whatever it was.
Alright,
Information's good. I mean, with a town note, like we all know that the town is generally dissatisfied on a lot of occasions with their trash service. And if we can get it done all in one day for the same price with
did you make a motion just now or not? I mean, I don't know.
well, we're on budget items. I'd like to make a motion to table it, actually, till we get RFPs. The budget amendment.
Okay, got a motion to table this. Need a second. Hearing none. We'll, there's any questions on it, any questions other than what Tom and them had, or any other comments on it?
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading to amend the budget.
Motion made to amend the budget.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you ready?
So, with Spartan Waste, are you saying not to do anything with them until the next?
Well, what Tom was suggesting, and, and I thought, any of this, I think we ought to, wait till the budget year, when we do the budget, to add anything to the budget, like this, this amount, and, to even consider Spartan Waste or any other, waste company, before, the budget.
So not even to consider hiring a third person?
Well, that's gonna cost us $40,000 or more, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I would be amenable to waiting. I mean, we're 5 months away from starting to work on the budget. It's, we don't need to even have the conversation tomorrow. I just don't wanna add that whole other, once we hire someone.
Well, I don't know, I don't know if we, in a real hurry to do this, I don't think we are. I mean, I know, we had questions on this when we came up with it. But my question is it really gonna help? It's not gonna help. We just, I don't wanna get into any, personnel or anything, but, is it gonna help? And I don't know if it is or not, but, I think, we should, look at it in that that's the reason we have readings on these, so we can discuss it and come up with, if we need to do anything, the other difference. It's like Jason brought the information and the other, about the other item we went over. We discussed it on that first reading. We're discussing it now, and we had time to look over. That's the reason we bring these ordinances, and we have, different readings, is because, you get to look at these things. You can't make a decision when somebody comes in and says, this is what we wanna do, and we don't get to discuss it. We get to discuss this information, we can make more decisions, more credible decisions. And that's what I think this procedure does. So, Jason's made a motion to accept, to amend the budget. Do we have any more questions or any more information?
Just one question, I just wanna make sure, if we end up hiring this person now, and down the road y'all end up, I just wanna make sure that we understand what's going on. If we end up hiring a person now, and then if we end up going in a different direction, are we hiring someone for 6 months?
That's a good idea. That's a
Just
good
a
question.
question.
I don't know, that's something, we need to discuss too, and I think, that's a good question.
What I just look at is part of my job is fiduciary relationship for the town. And you're currently paying roughly around $162,000 a year for trash pickup. This increase would end up going to approximately $207,000 a year in terms of trash pickup. I just heard the comments tonight. If they were doing trash and yard, off the cuff, if he said he could do it for approximately $185. And we're looking to spend up to $207, and we're not sure if we're gonna get the same level of service.
Well, that's something we need to consider, but that's good. We don't know, if that's a solid bid or,
No, we don't. We don't.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
And, anyway, okay. Thanks for the information. All right, we have a motion. Any other questions? Any other comments?
I'm annoyed.
All right,
I'm annoyed because we had spent a whole lot of discussion on hiring a third person, and I'm annoyed because Spartan Waste just came out of left field.
they didn't come to anybody till after we'd all done this.
Yeah.
I know,
Well,
but I didn't even know that we were even considering or thinking about it. We
Well-
were thinking about hiring a third person now.
Let me know. Does it matter? Really?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand what's going
We're not
on.
gonna discuss anything, with them, any of them.
It's
If
good to
anybody
have
else comes in, we're not gonna discuss it till the budget time.
It's good to have information. It's just
But,
providing
yeah,
information.
That's the reason we have readings like this, to get it out.
Yeah, it's not like they came out of left field after we approved this. Like, this is the process. This is in the middle of this process. It's good to explore, get all the sides.
Okay. All right. You got anything else on it?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. We have a motion. I need a second. To approve. Hearing none, we'll move on, and we'll table that and work it over and see what we can come up with. All right, I'm looking hard on it now. Discussion of the building codes, permits, and services, RCI.
Okay, I'm somewhat prepared, but I really don't know the depth of the conversation except what I read in the last month's minutes yesterday at 2:00 in the morning
seems like we kind of went over this maybe earlier. Seems like we kind of got out what we were.
I think all that, you know, that's the same thing that we, I don't know why we have this, and it's the same thing we went over before.
Looks like section A.
Yeah.
I don't know, I invited Damien and Morrell here, I was told he was here, but I don't know. To discuss the Coleman store, it seems like that was a pretty heavy point of contention to the point that Mr. Wright stated, the town needed to find another inspector. I'd be glad to discuss that with you.
Yeah, if you'd like to elaborate, you know, you read the minutes. So,
Oh, yeah.
So can you answer some of the questions that we had on that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That package that I provided a few minutes ago, y'all have that. Is Mr. Morrell here?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you are here?
For the record, you didn't invite me to come.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No, sir, you did not.
No, I may not have that. I called the number I was provided by Patrick, 5.
You've previously met Mr. Morrell, is that correct?
I met him at Coleman's, I'm sure. I did.
You weren't sure he was here tonight?
No. I don't remember him. Something's different about him. But anyway, we'll move on. But anyway, this is, you know, we obviously gonna have to talk about Mr. Morrell. You good with that? Okay, good. But this is normally is what I do behind closed doors with a contractor and not in a public setting. This is not my choice of place to have a discussion about a person's license and things like that. And if y'all want me to continue, I will.
I'm just asking what the circumstances were
Circumstances.
with Mr. Morrell's property.
All right, well, let's just look at some laws, and we'll pretend for a moment that it doesn't matter who it is. What matters is what's in place and what's not in place, okay? All right, when I spoke to this particular owner, he stated to me that he was gonna fix this building up to sell it. All right, if you'll go to, let me see which page that's on. Go to page 4, number 6, highlighted. And for this document, this is Title 40, and for this we use Black's Law Dictionary for these interpretations that we're trained through the Code Congress and the South Carolina Building Codes Council. An owner of non-owner occupied property who improves the property, who builds or improves structures of less than 5,000 square feet of the property, either by himself or with employees. They're allowed to do so, but they're not allowed to do structural or mechanical work. And if the property is not sold for 2 years, they got to comply with all of that. So, scroll on down, structural, see that term I highlighted, structural means roof and floor. I've written interpretation from the South Carolina LLR license, commercial license. He did replace the roof on that particular building without a permit. He not only replaced one of the roofs that is metal, he replaced another roof that is an EPDM, which is a low slope roof, which puts him in another subclassification for a license he does not have, called a specialty roof. Alright, if we scroll on down a little further,
Let's take a second for number 6.
okay. All
You
right, go
said
ahead.
that when you initially spoke to Mr. Morrell, he told you that he intended on fixing it to sell it.
Yes, sir, that's what he told me.
Do you have that in writing?
No, sir, he didn't give me that in writing.
Just a verbal, he was
That's right.
basically saying, yeah, I might sell it, I might lease it, I may do many things with it, correct?
Right,
So, had he bought the building, and he intended on doing the work to the building. So this one, number 6, only indicates whether or not they intend on selling it, and that's it, or
No, sir. Scroll on, to his permit back there.
number 6, what you already read to us. You said
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it
Well,
made a difference because you said he intended on selling it.
Well, there is multiple reasons he could be in violation with that.
In violation of number 6.
Yes, sir. Alright, go to his permit, it's on back. Permit he got from this town. Alright, go to the page where he signed it, he dated it, and the dollar amount he put in the top right corner, it says $16,800 and some change. Alright, at the time he bought that, it's right around the time that the limits changed from $5,000 to $10,000 that you didn't need contractor's license.
I don't see 16,000 some change.
Mhm.
My different page.
Right there.
It's on the permit, he signed it. By state law, any job $10,000.
So not the application, it's a different one.
You are required to have a general contractor's
Gotcha.
license in the state of South Carolina. When you're doing structural work, roof work, floor work. Alright. You see that? Alright, now. Let's go back to page 2 and let's read a couple items. These are the items that may be sought after by an LLR investigator for this project, okay? Not by me. False, misleading, deceptive, failure to obtain a permit, contractor offering to contract for construction work exceeding their limitations or subtype classification. They did both. They do not have a general contractor's license. If you'll go to the very last page, we can do that in a minute, you'll see where that license lapsed. A departure from the applicable building code. They did that.
Mr. Blackwell,
Sir?
if you wouldn't mind, I think what you're leading towards is more about the individual than about the circumstances of why he's only received a verbal warning, and then the only other time he's talked with the town hall, you haven't went there. That's what I was asking. I would rather you not talk about Mr. Morrell and violating state laws and going after his license in a public meeting. I don't think that's appropriate. My questions to you were just basically about these circumstances.
Hold on. He didn't say that. He said he wouldn't want to talk to him. Wait a minute, let me have my say too. He didn't say that he would rather not do this in the public thing. And he would go in general statements. That's what he was doing. He's doing in general statements. I don't know if he's leading to that, but yeah, it didn't sound like he was leading to me.
We're reading state laws about
yeah.
licensing and
But
such.
he was using it as a third person. He wasn't using it as somebody, he wasn't stating Mr. Morrell or anybody.
The questions were not about those circumstances. The questions I had were about the circumstances and why there's been zero communication with Mr. Morrell from the building official since August. That's the only questions I had. I wasn't concerned about why there needed to be a permit. My question a couple months ago or last month had to do with where did the permit fees come from and why was there no communication? The last council meeting we had, our administrator said it'd be on his priority list. And still, there has been zero communication with Mr. Morrell from the building inspector.
The number that was provided by me, by Mr. Morrell, was given to the building inspector, and he did contact him.
Is that his number? Look it over there.
Can I verify that, since it's my number?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do something.
529-1208.
You continue to allow people to walk.
I got you as 864-52.
What are you asking? You're asking, he brought it up here too.
I don't have your right phone number.
That's not what I asked him. I asked him, has there been?
So I have two business numbers.
Hang on a minute. Let's bring order here to start with. Okay. Okay, your question question was,
Why has there been zero communication? That's,
well, and he has tried, so what you know.
has there been notices left on the building? Has there
No,
been any, it's just a,
I personally went up there and met with him and told him to come get his permits, and he has yet to come in and get his permits for what we asked him to do. So that in itself is a personal, I personally drove him and spoke with him. Correct, Mr. Morrell? I came up and spoke with you. Have you gotten the permit for what I've asked you to get it for that boxing yet? No, sir, you have not.
So
All right,
I'm not,
let's not pick on you.
I'm not sure if I'm
I was
supposed
prepared to work with you, so let's you and I have that conversation. But let's get back to Mr. Wright.
So if I'm allowed to speak,
Well, hang on, no,
well, if I'm being addressed, then I should be allowed to speak.
we're gonna have order here, we're gonna have order, we're not gonna discuss all this, you know, like that, you know, we're not gonna discuss it in the public, you know, you and Brian can talk into it in private.
Amen.
And then we're gonna get Mr. Wright's question answered here,
Okay.
all right? Is that all you did, you went through it?
Yes, sir. I
You
went and met with him.
didn't leave anything, all right, what else?
Now, maybe that would have been, kind of tacky with him standing there, you know, posting stop work on the building, it was abandoned. And something simple that I felt like one professional to another, he would come downtown and take care of it, and he has not done that.
That's incorrect. I went to the town and asked for a schedule. Well, this is scheduled fees for the permit. I paid for the permit and the penalty for the.
We're gonna have order here, and Brian, you know,
I think we have to.
Do I?
I think we have to give Damon a chance to
Do I?
answer. I think we have to give Mr. Morel a chance to answer if there's gonna be a back and forth. But I think Brian's answered Mr. Wright's question that communication was attempted.
okay.
But we have to give.
Well, but
hey,
had nothing to do with his question.
let me say this. I think because during the answering of my question, he's been solicited for answers by Mr. Blackwell. Let's let him talk. Mr. Blackwell has solicited answers from him
Okay.
several times. Let's allow Mr. Morel to talk.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it short.
Do you mind coming up here to the? And just for the record, if you could just state your name and the address of the property.
My name's David Morrill, and the address of the property is 120 West Main Street.
Thank you.
So to keep it short and brief, Mr. Blackwell did come speak with me in July, not August. And it's now 4 months later. I did go to the town the day after he stopped. I spoke with Patrick. Asked him for a fee schedule and a permit schedule that's required in the town. Seems how, as of December, Spartanburg County oversaw the contract. I did the roof on the Coloma building in February. Had no idea there was an independent inspection agency in place until Thomas, halfway through my project, told me that the code enforcement officer wanted to know why I didn't have a permit. I said to him, if he needs to speak with me, I'm here. He never came. So I assumed that we weren't doing anything wrong. Moving forward, when Mr. Blackwell came to the job site and we exchanged words, I told him out of respect for him, I would go to the town. And I would straighten it out, I wouldn't touch the building until it was straightened out. To this date, we haven't done that. Went back and forth with Patrick, no fee schedule, no permit schedule, because, well, you just voted on the fee schedule tonight, did you not?
Right.
But I paid a fee for a roof that I did in February. I paid that fee when? September? August. So things are a little out of order here, just like I'm a little out of order. I'm not trying to break chops, but I was unaware. You know, I've been working here for almost 9 years, I've never had this issue before. So, as far as the permit moving forward, I was waiting to to see what permit was required to do maintenance at this point. Fix the windows that are broken. I'm not trying to replace the size, the type, the location, just the broken. Vinyl soffit. When if we ever needed a permit to repair vinyl soffit, which is what I was doing the day that Brian stopped us from working. So that's trim. The church can change trim, right? But we can't?
That's apples and oranges on
Well, trim's trim. It's not structural, it's not a roof, and it's not a floor.
that. What he's referring to is when, Packlet Baptist Church was doing some painting work, up on West Main Street.
Yeah.
And then, I think that's different in terms of what you were installing new.
That's right, totally different.
Because it's a new soffit. However, I sent an email with a list of things I would like to do without a permit, and you responded. And one
That's
of
it
them,
right there.
one of them was, you can't change any trim.
I don't think that email says that.
It says trim.
Okay, we should have that discussion behind closed doors.
And
Let's
that's
these
fine,
people
and I'm not here to badmouth anybody, but there's been a huge miscommunication here. The order in which things were done with this town, you're voting on a fee schedule tonight, and you're expecting me to pay a fee before you have it voted into place. That's wrong.
Actually, it's not. I prescribe a fee by law, and I provide them that number's right.
Which was accepted today.
No, the fee I used back then is not the fee they accepted today. That's a new one. Totally different.
But where's it posted?
So probably on the website.
Hasn't been updated since 1999.
At the last council meeting, you said that you weren't sure where that fee schedule came from, and you weren't sure where that number came from.
And I know this.
No,
I
the
don't-
fee schedule
I don't
came from, RCI. That's what they have provided us and what we've had here at Town
You said,
Hall.
I don't know. That's what you said last council meeting.
I-
So you actually wrote the fee that he needed to pay, correct? You gave him the fee that he was going to pay.
Actually,
That's
he gave
not
me the
correct.
form and told me that the fee schedule was the new construction fee schedule for the roof. And it was to be doubled, because that's what the fine
So
fee
you paid
schedule
a
was.
new construction fee schedule
That's
instead of a repair.
That's the same price.
To do a roof.
I believe he paid a double fee because of the fact that he didn't have a permit.
Correct.
That's right.
And because he didn't have a permit and did the work.
And I
the
paid it.
the fee is that he has to pay double the price.
I paid it because I wanted to show that I was trying to work with the town.
Yep.
I'm not trying to not work with the town. I did the roof Monday through Friday, broad daylight. We're not up there trying to hide anything. But in the county of Spartanburg, that was not a government issue until RCI took over the practice. So without knowing that governorship changed, I didn't believe I was doing anything wrong. Until,
I
July.
just have a question. It's not required in Spartanburg County that you have to get a permit for a roof,
that's correct.
but Spartanburg County has to abide by the international building codes. And what does the international building code state?
Well, there's a whole list on there. You guys all got it. What's exempt, and roof's not one of them.
Okay.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it not up to the town, city, or county to select the level of enforcement that they choose to enforce?
Some things.
The city of Spartanburg requires a roof permit, the county does not. Because after my conversation with Mr. Blackwell, I went and spoke with the county inspector myself. And he said to me, he said, I'm sorry, but that's growing pains. So, obviously, there's some discrepancies here, and it's not a matter of who's right and who's wrong. My issue was principle, ethics. You're asking me to pay a fee that you haven't approved yet. You're asking me to pay a fine that you haven't approved yet. You're asking me to pull permits for things that aren't posted on your website. There's no clear list as a builder that I can go look at that shows me exactly what's required. Unless I wanna go back to 1999, or go on the county's website, because we don't have one here in Pat, so.
Okay,
There's no-
okay, let me put this out here. Alright, we discussed all this and nobody, knows what's going on. And I think we should back up here and make it right and y'all together, not just one here, one there, and us here, you know, get this thing settled and move on.
Right,
You know,
I mean,
something that is agreeable with everybody. I mean, I know we were late in getting these fees out, but we need to go ahead and get, you know, we don't need to be holding people up. We want him in this community, and he wants to do it right, and so let's do it. You know, we can agree with some of this stuff, you know, and let's go forward. You know, we didn't have a fee at the time, so let's.
Well, that's not correct. So, and I want to make sure that we understand this. First off, the website has been updated. It was updated, Mr. Wright, do you remember the date in which the new website was put in place?
I don't know the specific date.
Okay, it's been in the last year that it's been updated, and it is on the website that's on there. And you can go on there and you can click the work that you want to have done, and it'll tell you what the fee will be. So that's one thing.
the first meeting I had with you, it wasn't updated, because you and I looked at that, and you couldn't answer my questions.
I apologize for that. I know we had copies of it here
And
available.
it doesn't matter at this
Yeah,
point. The point is,
sure.
I didn't go back and do any more work since I've spoken to Brian.
That's
Because
good.
I wanted to work with, you know, I know we're gonna work together again, so I'm trying to keep a
That's
professional relationship with him.
We
and with
all
the
want to
town.
work together. We all want to work together. You know, we
Let's-
can argue this thing till it's, you know, till
So,
I
next year.
apologize.
you gotta,
No apology necessary.
I apologize on behalf of the town if there's been any confusion or misunderstanding on anything like that.
That's a number out there, so I have, you
No
know.
apology necessary. I don't expect an apology. I just wanted to get things ironed out, and get a
Absolutely.
straight path.
On there.
So,
Right on the top here.
Yeah, anyway.
yeah.
That way I can communicate with you. Appreciate that. Thanks, sir.
Y'all have any more questions for Brian?
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Have more? Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
New business. Consider approving, 2024 town council meeting schedule. You have it in front of you. Or have it in your packet. Any questions on it?
It's been updated to show the 2 meetings that happened in June, so that you won't meet the week of July.
Yeah, that's what we usually do, whatever. What else?
everyone's okay with that, us missing a month?
Do what?
No one has an
What's that?
issue with,
No,
Yeah,
that's-
but I have to have a motion once y'all approve
yeah,
it.
no, I don't have a problem with it, just, it's come
Okay,
up as an issue.
need a motion.
And then once y'all approve that, we'll put that in the newspaper, so it's just required.
I make a motion to approve the council meeting schedule for 2024.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve it. Any questions? All in favor? Moving right along. Consider approving the contract with Appalachian Council of Governments to update the town, zoning ordinances.
I shouldn't have to say anything much about this. This is something I think we all desperately need, is to have ACOG update our ordinances, and they can do it alongside of them currently working on the comp plan. Of course, it would not be completed until after the comp plan is completed, but they would be able to provide something for you. And we've seen many times so far, especially with our recent trip to BZA, this is something that's very much needed for the town.
Did you get any other pricing for this?
I didn't get any other pricing on here because typically they are significantly less than anybody else that's out there, and it would be considered under professional services on here. But if you would like for us to do additional quotes on here, I can.
So with that, with the comp and the master plan, you know, there was supposed to be some meetings with, you know, with ACOG. In the meantime, there's a schedule that they sent out, there's been 0 meetings. Is there any kind of communication? Do we have any update on the comp plan? Do we have anything?
Yes, I actually met with them yesterday. And we will be having that steering committee meeting in January. We're looking at either the 18th or the 25th, and I'll be sending something to you and anybody else that's on that steering committee. They will also, at that point, give us a schedule of when they're going to do some public meetings. They weren't just going to do the survey, but they'll do public meetings. And at that steering committee meeting, you will be able to direct them in terms of where those public meetings need to be, if they need to be at churches, if they need to be here, or how we end up doing that. So if you look at your calendar for the 18th or the 25th, on a Thursday night at 6 p.m., we can either do it here at Town Hall. It may be worthwhile to do it at does the fire department have a big area that we can spread out in terms of big tables? That may be worthwhile to do it there.
Is this something we need to do now, or is the timing right for having them work on this? They're not gonna do it until after the comp plan's finished.
No, they're actually gonna work on it while we're doing this.
In conjunction.
In conjunction with, that was one thing when we met this on yesterday, they asked, are we gonna do this, we're gonna wait until after the comp plan, or go ahead and work on this now? And I said, based on, I think, the need for council and what I've seen, is we need to work on this immediately. I mean, we've got Urban Center, which talks about a downtown that we don't have.
Well, I make a motion to approve contract to get the zoning ordinances.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the, contract with the Appalachian Council, governments, and the zoning ordinances, update them. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Consider approving the grant to Marysville School, or Marysville School, approved.
I was asked to go and look at a potential grant for revitalization of the Marysville School here in Packlet. It's located at 911 Sunny Acres Road. I have a preliminary estimate of approximately $431,000, $431,416. That may end up being high, but that does kind of give us an estimate at least to work with. This particular grant will be a 50-50 grant. I need to know if council wants to pursue this before we do anything else, because that is a significant amount. The town does have money available left in ARPA. It will cut it significantly down. But I wanted to understand, because it seemed very important the last few meetings, that the town tried to revitalize this space.
So this 431, that's hopefully a top end.
431 is hopefully the top end, because the roof's already been done. This is HVAC, plumbing, electrical, insulation, and redoing the floors and windows, siding on the exterior, and painting.
This is like a full restoration of the.
Correct.
So we'd have to come up with over 200,000.
Correct.
And as much as I would love to renovate that building, I think a 50% match, there's so many grants out there. I think we should pass on this one. I hate to do that. The building is in dire need of repair, but we missed a grant that was 100% based on some login difficulties or
Yes.
something of that sort. So you had never tried to log in before, or,
I had tried to log in before.
and you couldn't do it for the last year, or?
Yes, for the last year, I've been banging my head up against the computer, trying to get access to sam.gov,
Yeah.
federalservicedesk.gov. Yes.
I think
One of the
we
biggest
should
issues,
wait. I think we should wait on this one.
we can, one of the other things that I'm looking at right now is there's a developer who's looking to come to town and do some work. And one of the things that they are interested in, or have a nonprofit that does, is teach young children, underprivileged children, give them access to instruments and musical abilities. And I know that was something that Miss Macbeth was very strong about, because I believe she learned to play the piano at the school. And so I would very much like to restore this, but one of the biggest concerns that I have is making sure that we have an end use. I would hate for us to spend $500,000, whether it's grant or whatever, and at the end of the day, not have a use for it. on a day-to-day basis. Now, we're in conversations with that group. If something changes in the next week, I will let you guys know. Yes, ma'am. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I do, but I'll let you finish.
Sure. There's a group that's looking at it. We looked at it today. They seem extremely interested, but nothing set in stone. One of the things that I've asked for them is to consider is if we end up going down this road, I think it would be worthwhile for them to put some skin in the game on the construction costs and have some type of use for it down the road. And to me, I think that would show council that they're very serious in wanting to work with the town. So then at that point, that could say $50,000 or $75,000 that comes from this group.
I'd be curious, oh, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off, you had a question?
With the grant that covered 100%, is it a reoccurring, will they offer it again? And if so, can we try to apply for it next time?
Yeah, we have full access to that site now. We can definitely do that. We've got some numbers now. We will have to update the numbers when that time comes up. Although it is 100%, they'd like for you to match it with something, but we want to match it with 50%. So we can stop this. The COG is also looking at another historic grant. At what percentage do you feel comfortable that the town pays up to, say, like 25%? Are y'all okay with that?
I think first, you should evaluate exactly what all wants to be done at the building. I mean, just having a $431,000, that's, none of us has even talked about what all should be done, the end results of it, whether it needs to be original or does it have to go all the way and it's a brand new building. I think it's important that we evaluate what all we want to do to it first.
Absolutely.
And then look at the cost, you know, and what grants we want to pursue, and maybe even in certain steps, you know, I mean, and maybe get the public to input that. I mean, this building we're talking about was a school to a neighborhood that's still associated with it. So maybe get some input and go from there.
What I'll also look at is there's a preservation grant that's coming up right now that I was also looking at that may be able to cover the exterior. And the last time we checked on this, the cost was around $55,000. And I believe it was going to pay for most of that. I think it was like a 75%.
Right.
And I'll bring that back up to you. But if you did exterior, I mean, paint, wood, windows, that wouldn't limit you from being able to do more down the road.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
Right now, I think just the ownership of the building, we have to maintain it anyway, and we haven't been doing it, so we're kind of in breach.
The roof looks much better. I'm not sure how long ago the roof was
It's
done.
done, Lane had that done, and so it's a real nice roof.
Okay. I'll let the COG know that we are not going to pursue this grant, and I'll send you information about the grant to do just the exterior.
Is there anything with the exterior that's creating ongoing or continuous damage that needs to be maybe, even if it was patched, just to preserve the building while we figure out? I like the idea of just doing the exterior because you can work from outside in. I just don't want to see like, you know, if it's not sealed from the weather, we put this off for a few years and have even worse structural damage.
Well, what we could do is go ahead and work on the exterior. And when I say exterior is because of the fact that it is a historic building, it would be wood-clad windows on there. It would be energy efficient. It would be, you know, sealing up the exterior, I think there's some wood that's rotted and replacing that and then painting it. So at least on the outside, it would look good.
Yeah.
So I think that would be worthwhile, but there are some sections in there where I was in it this morning and there's a screen over one window that's just,
Okay.
it's open.
And if you can get somebody to paint it for free in the meantime, you don't need our approval.
Is that person like
We already
sitting on council?
approved it one time, I mean, that's.
It's already been approved once. I think the town was gonna buy the paint, and they were gonna do the work.
No, the paint was free. Anyway, okay. Approving the town hall landscape.
There was a plan that was created several years ago back when Miss Elaine Harris was here. I've taken some pictures of it and sent it to y'all. I can bring it out here. We have an estimate from our landscaper at the cost of $20,000. And that would be to plant everything that was originally proposed on there. And I brought it to you, not necessarily, it'd be great if you go ahead and approve this, cause it would make the town look nice. It may be worthwhile for us to take a step back and re-look at some of this stuff and see if these plantings are still what the town wants to see and wants to move forward with. The other thing that I didn't see in the proposal on here, which I think is something that we need to look at, is irrigation. At least for the first year, unless you guys want me to go out there with a watering can, and I can, but I know that, I just wanna make sure that we're not gonna have stuff that dies off. But either way, this would be something that would be available through, this is another eligible ARPA thing that if you guys wanted to be able to do, and because of the fact that we've already vetted this particular contractor through the landscaping process, you could go ahead and approve this.
Is this, they're approving, I mean, they're providing the plants?
They're providing all the plants and they're providing all the labor.
So when would they intend on doing this work? And are they going to provide a warranty on these plants for the next year?
Typically, what I have seen, this is from my own work in landscaping, well, not my own landscaping, it was what at my house, is typically they don't warranty them, if there's no watering system.
They can put watering bags on the trees. That's what typically is required, is a watering bag.
And the plants,
You hang it on the tree and.
yeah, for that, but everything else, all the bushes and plants and that sort of thing out there.
Your irrigation doesn't work in the wintertime anyway.
Right, it doesn't work in the wintertime, that's correct.
So that's why I asked when they would intend on doing this work.
This was, there's nothing,
Just asked them for a quote.
I asked them for a quote. This was one of the things that we have in terms of the landscaping group is they do additional projects. I looked at old projects that were out there, that Ms. Harris had put out there from a long time ago. And this was one, I think we had talked about beautification of town hall. I think this would be nice for.
So we could wait till the spring.
We can wait till the spring on this.
Maybe we could have a better plan by then.
Sure. I'd like to get some input on there. There's some stuff that's on the plan that, I think we could look at it and maybe adjust.
And we gotta consider, we're gonna have to increase, their, pay to take care of these things too. Keep them trimmed up and all like that. I mean.
And that's with anything that we do in terms of, we talked about, beautification or, of the alleys, and the streets around town, that once they do that first big trim, that yeah, it would be the next year, there's a possibility that would increase the annual rate to be able to maintain that.
Okay, well, let's talk about this again then, okay?
The next item here is the request from the History Committee to issue an RFP for a museum consultant. Eric Green, who is the chair of the History Committee, is here to speak on this. The reason this is coming up, because the last council meeting, it was requested to get grants to cover the cost of this consultant, because like you said, after we do this, then they'll be asking for additional funds to beautify or to fix up the museum. When I reached out to the COG, they said that they have grants available for fixing up, but they don't have grants available for the consultant. And so what they're recommending on us is that we pay for the cost of the consultant to get some ideas out there, and then once that is done, the History Committee will work with the COG to come up with grants to do the work that's prescribed in the from the consultant's plan, pending, of course, approval from council. But I'll let Mr. Green come in and present.
As most of you know, Elaine Harris gave us a wonderful museum that has been filled with a treasure trove of rich items that tell the story of Packlet's history. It has sadly fallen into disuse over the past several years and is only open a couple of times a year during special events. or by appointment. Since last October, when the History Committee was formed, we decided our first project to focus on would be the museum. We've been working to clean up, evaluate, and research opportunities to make the museum even greater and more viable without losing sight of the late Miss Harris's original vision. We've determined the scope of the museum. We want to pare it down to telling the 100 years of Packlet. We feel like the museum at this point is rather broad, starting back around Stone Age times and working all the way up to modern times. We feel like most of Packlet's most important history has been within the last 150 to 100 years. What we have done is look at I have interviewed several consultants. Most have the same plan in place once you hire them. They would come in, they would evaluate what we have, the square footage of what we have, and then they would catalog our items. They would go back and they would come up with a plan which we would review, and then at that point we would decide whether we would want to keep them and go ahead with their plan, or whether we wanted to try. One gentleman I spoke with, he actually would let you keep his plan and you could implement it yourself, or he could do it for you. But they all come in around the same amount. It would be for the consultation and for their design would come in at $10,000 or under. Once that fee is paid, we would like to look for grant money to fund the actual work on the museum. Anything that they would recommend, we would research out grant money for, to keep from having to come back and ask the town for any more funds. What we would like to do is bring the museum into a more modern setting through technology, as well as making it more interactive. And that is something that I spoke with several of the consultants about. They all, when they design museums, they bring museums, most of them were small town, local museums that they work on. And the main thing that they have found is that when you have a museum that's somewhat outdated, interest in it seems to start falling off. They also recommend bringing in more technology and making it more user-friendly. And so that is where we are as far as the museum.
So you're asking for a maximum of 10,000?
Yes.
I believe like, the Marysville School and the museum, if we don't do something, we're gonna lose all this. And we need to do it, and we need to upgrade it, and, for it to be used. And you got some ideas there, having it interactive and, more modern and things like that. Right now, it's down there, and it's useless right now.
Well, we have been contacted by some of the folks that have items that are down there on loan, saying that if we're not going to use them, they'd like them back.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And it's understandable.
How many people are on the history committee?
Officially, we have four. We have 3 very active.
Three active people?
Yes. Our first meeting, we had around, about 40 people?
It was about 15 or 20, I think. Maybe it was that many, but I
room full, but then after a couple of meetings, it's always when it came down to work, even, it just kind of got down to a core group.
Are you still looking for more members?
Pardon?
You're still looking for more members?
Oh, it's always open for more members, more people that we can get in and more help we can get. Always appreciated. And we actually did a survey during Riverfest when the museum was open, to get an idea of what people were looking for, any suggestions they may have. And we actually had around 50 people that actually came through and toured the museum that day. And one of the main things is that they would like it to be open more.
I make a motion that we allocate up to 10,000, obviously pending, the RFP for a museum consultant.
The motion made, for the request from the history committee, RFP for the museum consultant. Any questions, any comments?
I'm not sure what the motion was. You repeated. The original motion was to allocate $10,000. Are we just approving to issue an RFP for pricing, request for pricing, or are we actually going to put $10,000 towards this?
The request on here is just for the RFP to move forward on there. However, I would like to think that the council would like to move forward on there. I would hate for us to waste the time of people to provide quotes, and if we could find something under $10,000 that I'd like to know that the town's gonna, would like to move forward with something like that.
Yeah, do we have to actually officially amend the agenda to give them up to 10,000 allowance? I think that's.
I think as long as the consensus of council is that, you'll evaluate the bids that come in and consider it at that time, but if council at this point is not even interested in paying for any type of study, then it just needs to stop.
Okay, we're going to,
Who's all on the history committee?
It's myself and Rudy Burgess, Don Canby, and Aaron Canby.
okay, you gonna have to
I make a motion.
withdraw your motion.
What's that?
I think you have to withdraw your motion, make another motion, aren't you?
His motion was to give the history committee $10,000 to get a consultant for up to $10,000 to get a consultant
Up
for the
to,
museum.
correct.
That's what you, okay. All right. Any questions? Comments? Need a second. Do y'all wanna go ahead with it, or are you wanna talk about it more, or what do you wanna do? I'm asking you all.
I'd love to go forward with it.
Are you not
What's
gonna
your
do the
reservations
quotes
then?
first?
Pam?
This is for getting quotes, right?
This is just for getting quotes, but like I said, we can get quotes and say we get a quote in for $5,000. But if council is saying at this point it doesn't matter what the quotes are, we're not going to proceed. What I'm saying is
I would like to see quotes.
okay. That's all. Yeah, as long as the consensus of council is that y'all want to go ahead and see quotes on this to kind of see where we are with this.
I make a motion that we approve history committee's request to issue RFP for museum consultant.
I don't think we need to approve the history committee to get an RFP. I don't think we need to do that. If you wanna get some quotes for a consultant, have fun.
But are we sending them off on a mission to have fun, or are we gonna back them up when it comes time?
thing is, I would like to see if you're gonna find something reasonable. I mean, $10,000, you may find something less.
Yes.
We've already
Yeah.
found.
And that's the thing is I think we've looked at them right now, and some of the places, we have gotten several quotes that are significantly less than $10,000. I put $10,000 as a ceiling and not going any higher than that. But we had gotten one quote, I believe it was around, the guy was actually gonna work with us for his travel because he was gonna be in Charlotte anyway, and I think it was gonna be about $4,000 for him to come out here and do the evaluation on here. I think it was like $2,000 a day. It was gonna take him
He would come down here, he was gonna come down here for one day, talk with us, look at the museum, and then he was gonna go back and, come up with a plan. And he charged around $2,000 a day. He said he usually finished his plans within 2 days.
I don't think it's a good idea to just not have anywhere between $0 and $10,000. I don't think it's a good idea just to say, yeah, it's up to 10 grand, do whatever. That's just not, I don't think it's a good idea. I think having some options, having some prices, and then talking to Spartanburg County, seeing if they've got somebody that works at their museum and if they could help, and there's a lot of other avenues other than.
And we have done that. We've actually reached out to Spartanburg County's museum and had them come out, and that was part of the recommendation is that we needed a consultant to come out here and do an evaluation. But we have had that happen.
Okay, let me say this. Once y'all come back with a quote, some quotes, hard quotes, and let's see what we can do with that. I think we all want it to happen, but I think we need to get some hard quotes and see what we need to go forward with it. Is that okay with you, y'all? Is that okay? Okay. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Consider approving funds for the road paving match.
So at one of the last council meetings, we talked about paving some streets, and I had some recommendations from y'all. Knuckles Street, Carroll Street, Pine Drive, and Green Street. Knuckles Street and Carroll Street are the only two roads that aren't DOT. And when I was asking the Spartanburg County, who partners with us to do these funds, they prefer not to do DOT unless we've got to have a lot more time involved in this because it requires some permitting. So what they're recommending is to proceed with Knuckles and to Carroll Circle if we want to proceed. One thing that has happened since last year is when I first got here, I had learned about the municipal road paving fee that was at $25. That no longer is in place, and the town had been using those funds to do various projects in town. And at that time, I was told that they had $147,000 left in that account. What has happened since then is DOT has finally cleared out or closed out the Gateway project, which is the circle. And so they took the rest of the $147,000 to cover the cost of that Gateway project. Therefore, there is $0 in there. CTC funds are meant to match. And if we're not gonna provide funding, they're not gonna provide funding on there. So when I talked to road paving for the county, they said that we need to provide our own funding as a match on there. This will be something that I'll start adding to the budget every year in terms of money to add into a capital account that we build up for road paving in the future. But as of this point, there's no money for that unless you want to allocate it out of ARPA, which is what other communities are doing right now, is allocating money out of ARPA to cover that match for the CTC. If you provide $100,000 of your ARPA funds, you could get both Knuckles and Carroll Street paved. If we did half that, there's a good chance that we can get one, but not both. I'd recommend Carroll Street because to me, I think it's in the worst shape. But either one. But to be able to do that and move forward with that, I need to have a motion from you to be able to take that money from ARPA and allocate it to this and let them know this, so when they go to vote on CTC funds on January 11th, they know the town of Packlet is willing to match their funds. You can say no, and if you say no, we won't pave any streets this next year.
All right, y'all heard the information, what do you think?
We need to figure out how to add some revenue to that road paving fund.
Absolutely. What other communities do is they put money from their annual budget into a road paving fund. The town of Packlet has never had that. They've always survived on the $25 municipal account. And from time to time, from talking to Ms. Kirby, there were several projects that Ms. Elaine had done out of this municipal road paving fund.
The wall behind it.
I thought everybody just left.
Yeah. All right,
I thought everybody just left.
Do you,
It's up to you. I
Recommend-
wanted you to know this at the time when I initially proposed all this. I thought we had $147,000 in there. There's not. So if you're not interested in putting some money towards this, keep in mind, we've talked about this before, ARPA's gotta be allocated by the end of this year, and it's gotta be spent by the end of the following year, I believe. We can wait and not do anything. Keep in mind that the town of Packlet, along with the rest of Spartanburg County, just recently voted for the penny tax. And we will get some money from that, but that money does not start coming into the town of Packlet until 2025.
you said allocated by the end of this year?
We have to allocate in terms of how we're gonna be spending the ARPA money.
By the end of 2023?
But it's gotta be spent, I believe it's by the end of 2024. It's gotta actually be spent. By the end of next year, the town of Packlet, along with communities all over the country, end up getting ARPA money. American Rescue Plan Act, and the town.
So we're in our last meeting of 2023, what's been allocated, what's left?
I'm sorry, we have to allocate it by the end of 2024.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
that's what I was concerned about.
So
You should have corrected me on
just
that.
133,000, just a little.
Hey man, I'm here.
Okay.
I ain't trying to argue with nobody about it.
Okay,
You said it.
but you knew it was wrong.
Do you recommend holding off, or?
It is up to you. I think both of these streets need it. If the council does not vote to add any money or to match any money with CTC to be able to do this, I can guarantee you will not get either one of these streets paid. If you wanna get these streets paid, you gotta put up something, and they told us around $50,000-$60,000 for at least one street, $100,000 is a good chance we can get both.
So with the ARPA, there's a little over $133,000 in there? Is that what that is, or am I looking at it wrong? This budget?
More than that, I think.
You got more than that in there,
Oh.
especially since you didn't wanna spend $240,000 for, Marysville.
You said 50 to 60 is our contribution for one street, or is the total for one street?
So, and this is where it gets kind of complicated, and I'm not excited about complication, but CTC funds are political. And the way that CTC funds are allocated are based on politics. I probably shouldn't say that here, but that's the truth. And it's based on the fact that whoever the elected officials who end up working on this project. And so it is state representatives, it's state senators, it is other state people, and they meet on January 11th in some undisclosed location. And they determine how they want to spend the money and how it gets matched up. And so I'm going to do everything that I can to work with Representative Moss and Senator Martin's office to make sure that town of Packlet gets everything we possibly can, especially since the fact that we didn't pay anything last year. We paid, my first year, we paid Fuller Street and Cleveland Street. We didn't pay anything last year, but I'd like for us to pay something this year.
Okay, sounds like we need to approve something then.
Like I said, you can say
We need to
no.
approve $100,000.
$100,000, there's a good chance that we can get the rest of the money to pay both of those two streets. They are telling me that approximately $60,000 we could probably do with the match, get Carroll Street done.
Knuckles is right next to Marysville, right? Maybe as a,
Knuckle Street goes from Sunny Acres over to Brown Mill.
He goes, it's like a stop, almost a circle back around.
I may make a motion, we approve 100,000 for road paving.
And the money would come from ARPA.
I make a motion, we allocate 100,000 of ARPA funds to road paving.
All right, I have a motion. Anybody that have a second to it?
How much money's in ARPA?
How much is in ARPA? I can get y'all a amount. We have approximately 350, at least $350,000 is currently sitting in ARPA.
When does it have to be spent?
It's gonna be spent by the end of 2025.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Okay, 100,000 for repaving, both roads or just one road?
Should
Both.
be both.
Okay. All right, any questions on that?
I know it's a lot, and I hate to do it, but that's the only way to get those roads done.
All right,
You wanna do it?
all right. All in favor? All opposed? Okay? All right. Take a break, let's call it.
You wanna take a break, or we go through this quick?
Real quick.
Christmas lights update, 29 of the 35 snowflakes have been decorated and installed. Lights on number 9 are a power issue, and we're working with Duke Energy and electrician to get them fixed. We have the rest of the materials for the 6 snowflakes that are here. However, we're limited on open utility poles. Just kind of go ahead and sum this up in terms of, we've got more that's out there. I think we could probably hold and wait until next year, and I don't think it's a pressing thing. We get a lot of great compliments on the fact that we've got 29 that are currently up there. Do want to know that Santa will be at the amphitheater Friday and Saturday from 6 to 8 on the 8th, 9th, 15th, and 16th. We had a BZA meeting and had a variance on there. There are 4 members of BZA and Planning Commission who have not taken their training classes. 3 have agreed to take those classes and get them done by the end of this year, so we're not having a compliance issue with the state. There is one that we have contacted multiple times and has not responded to us, so you all may want to consider at the next meeting to replace someone on the Planning Commission. While we weren't top 5 finalists for the to the top rank, we were.
Can I interrupt you?
What's that?
You said planning commission at the end, you meant BZA.
So we have 4 members, 2 on BZA and 2 on Planning Commission who have not taken their training classes that are required by law. And they have to do it within a year. Y'all nominated them or elected them November of last year. So I'm trying to get them done by the end of this year, so we are all in compliant on there. 3 have said that they'll either take the in-person training that's gonna be offered in Greenville. I'm sorry, 2.
One
My
grade.
One's in Greenville, the other ones are gonna do it online. But we have one that we've contacted multiple times, multiple places. It's not you,
Oh,
I'm planning,
it's on the Planning Commission.
that was my question. Okay.
There's
I thought you were talking about
a
BZA.
volunteer on the Planning Commission that we need to take that training, otherwise there's a chance that you're gonna have to replace that individual in January because we won't be in compliance. I'm working on getting a projector, even though we weren't able to get the grant from 10 at the top. Until then, we will continue to rent the equipment. You got a
I'll
question?
donate it to you.
You'll donate it to me,
Yeah.
excellent. But I think we should start this back up. I put out a poll. I'd like for us to start this up in the spring, summertime, and doing movies free for the community. We are going to be replacing some damaged face signs around town. We've already gotten a list together that Tony's going to be sending out. If there is some stuff that you see out there, please let me know, and so that we can make sure that those signs, stop signs that have graffiti on them, if there's some stuff that's down by the fishing piers that has graffiti on them, we're going to replace all those things. The amphitheater has some graffiti that's up there. We sent that out for bids. Quote came back. The contractor has not had a chance to come out there and take care of it yet. I know it was mentioned on Facebook, but that is being addressed. And as soon as, if he's not able to take care of it in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to find somebody else to come up there and take care of that. But they had a chemical that would take care of it and not damage the concrete. Council had requested an appraisal of the building that the town owns located at 141 Coleman Circle. That report is now available, and the opinion of value is $40,000. Currently working with Spartanburg to promote several properties located on Highway 176 for potential developments in industry. The town of Packet received a check in the amount of $350,000 from Paul Wiles to purchase the golf room. These funds are currently being kept in separate restricted LGIP accounts, receiving 5.6% interest. And we'll sit there for the next 5 years while he develops that project. And we're also clearing out some stuff in the basement. So if you all have any stuff in the basement that needs to be taken out, please, we need to get moving out of there. The town of Packet received approval from RIA for a grant in the amount of $28,000 for the stormwater master plan. We're also waiting to hear back from CDBG for that grant that was applied for in the amount of $42,500. We'll be moving forward on that shortly to get the master plan done for stormwater. Town of Packet will be receiving $250,000 for improvements to Town Hall. This came directly from the state of South Carolina by way of Representative Dennis Moss. I'd like to draft up a letter thanking him for this. I'd like for all of y'all to sign it if you don't mind. This is a big deal, and I think as much as we can publicize this and thank him publicly for this, good chance we can get more money from the state for this.
Who was that again, Patrick?
Dennis Moss is the representative for Packard. That was the district just recently changed up. Was it last year, or the year before?
He's out of Gaffney.
He sits on the committee for Ways and Means, and he's chair of the committee that does memorial signs. So the April Palmer Green Memorial, not memorial because you're not passed away, honorable intersection or highway. That's what this group does.
Okay.
Reached out to 2 architects for a price on creating plans for Town Hall. We've talked about redesigning Town Hall up here. First architect came through with a price that I just thought was just ridiculous. And so I've been working with another contractor who's been recommended by Mr. Blackwell, which I guess he's already left. And then I'm looking for some other ones that are out there to try to get something more reasonable in terms of price. $21,000, which is too high for an architect, in my opinion. You look like you're going to say something, Mr. Wright. No? You just ready to go see?
Hi.
Recently met with Benchmark and ACOG about the master plan. We'll be having a steering committee meeting on the 18th or the 25th, so look for your emails on that. Working with Laura Ringo with POW and the contractor performing the trail study for a bike trail from Packlet up to Clifton. There are a few property owners that are along the river that y'all may know that we can talk to be able to get easements to be able to put that trail on. If and when this moves forward, it's going to be an 8-mile trail that goes from Packlet up to Clifton, which then would connect the town of Packlet to the Dan, which is the Spartanburg County Trail, and then connect to the Palmetto Trail that goes from Charleston to Oconee County. So it's a big deal if we can move forward on this, and we are moving forward in that direction. There are upcoming classes by the Municipal Association of South Carolina. I think many of you have already taken the Municipal Elected Officials Institute of Government, but of those of you who have not, and those who may be coming on council, it may be worthwhile to take those. The town will pay for the cost to you to attend, both lodging, travel, and the classes. So if you would like to take classes as a newly elected official, please do that. I think education is very important. The parade is this Saturday at 10 a.m. It will start at Packlet Elementary School, continue down to Main Street. It'll use the same route that has been done in the past. We will have a couple judges that will be located at Council, the superintendent and the board chair for District 3. At this time, we have about 30 entries in the parade. That's up from 5 from last year.
That's great.
That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. All right, you have anything?
Just thank you to all the volunteers that helped on the Christmas lights and snowflakes. That's all I
Yes.
got.
That was the other thing I didn't put in my, I put in my report, but I didn't say it, but thank you very much to all the volunteers who helped out with decorations and with the snowflakes and everything else. Awesome job. It's great to see the community come together like that.
I don't see you all before the holidays. I wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I'd like to thank, he's not here tonight, but I'd like to thank Mr. Hood for his time in the council. Be leaving us, and then, and we'll welcome, Mr. Brackett's on, his place. I'd like to take time too, to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. We've done a lot this year, and I think we got a lot more, in plans, so, we just have to buckle up and get at it, and I think everybody, has worked pretty good together, and I think we'll, we continue to do that, we'll have a great town, and we'll be proud of it.